The University Press staff has a lot of differing opinions, and this Oscar season is no different. A few of us got together to convince you which film should be the best picture of the year. Of course, only one opinion is right, and that's mine, but we'll get to that.
Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri is a dark, heart-wrenching story of loss and grief, directed by Martin McDonough. The cast is led by Frances McDormand, who plays Mildred Hayes, a small-town mother who is grieving the loss of her daughter, who is raped and murdered. 7 months after her death with the cops, portrayed by Woody Harrelson and Sam Rockwell, no closer to an arrest, Mildred puts up the title billboards calling out the police. The movie keeps the viewer on the edge of their seats with suspense and plot twists. Rockwell's Officer Dixon and Mildred end up unlikely allies as the hunt for Mildred's daughter's killer heats up. The ensemble cast is amazing, but McDormand leads the way with her unapologetic take on the grieving mother who wants revenge. Woody Harrelson impresses as the thoughtful sheriff. Rockwell gives one hell of a performance as a mother's boy, racist cop who makes the audience completely loathe him, possibly more than the killer the police are trying to catch. Audiences will laugh, cry, and mourn with the characters as if they knew them.
The Darkest Hour is a thrilling film that captures the actions of the British Parliament and Winston Churchill in his first 3 weeks as Prime Minister. Churchill's biggest decision comes when he must decide whether to fight Hitler's German army or make peace negotiations with the country. This film is an astounding example of the finest acting and best directing. Gary Oldman, who plays Churchill, is truly captivating. The picture is phenomenal and it keeps you on the edge of your seat, which, in my opinion, is an accomplishment for a history film. But I could watch The Darkest Hour over and over again and still be moved by Churchill's speech to fight them on the beaches and never surrender. This film deserves Best Picture because it's riveting, nail-biting, and a true illustration of what film can be.
Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk is a retelling of the events that occurred during World War II. Overpowered by the Nazis and pushed out to the beach, British soldiers have no choice but to evacuate Dunkirk by sea. The problem is that every chance the soldiers get to leave the beach, their boats are destroyed by German planes and U-boats. The twist is that help comes from an unlikely ally, civilians and boats. The movie switches from different perspectives and time differences throughout the film. Through this approach, we're introduced to a well-selected cast, which includes Tom Hardy, Harry Styles, and Cillian Murphy. The cast does an excellent job in the portrayal of the various characters, which include soldiers, an admiral, pilots, and civilians. There's not a lot of dialogue in the film, but if you know anything about World War II, you'll be able to keep up. However, the action and visual effects, which were my favorite parts of the movie, are so stunning that you'll be too busy on the edge of your seat to even need dialogue. The visuals, solid cast, story is why Dunkirk should win the Oscar.
Get Out deserved Best Picture not only the fact that it's a skillfully made horror film, but it highlighted the accuracy of modern-day racism. All hell broke loose when Rose, played by Allison Williams, wanting her first African-American boyfriend, Chris, played by Daniel Kaluuya, to meet her, claimed to be progressive white parents for the first time. The film is filled with bold moves made by director Jordan Peele to target the issue of racism. Peele's title for the film is filled with ambiguity, keeping the audience intrigued from the beginning. Get out, as in black people are not welcome in this country. Get out, as in while they still can. Further, the film questioned progress in America by invoking racism persistency and smartly placed it in a cinematic format instead of a documentary format. Therefore, this film deserved to win because it accurately emphasized the underlying modern-day racism and false progressiveness.
Oscar nominee The Shape of Water is visually fantastic and the story is a fantastic fantasy. It centers around the mute orphaned Eliza, played by Sally Hawkins, who works as a janitor at a government lab where she falls in love with the man of her dreams. The only problem is he's a mysterious, scaly creature and is the lab's classified secret. Eliza recruited a gang of misfits, a gay man and struggling artist, a black co-worker, and a scientist with a secret, all to rescue the merman. Director Guillermo del Toro, who is up for the Best Director, certainly knows his way around fantasy. With his previous films such as Pan's Labyrinth and Hellboy, he tells the story of a great forbidden love in a way like never before. While this movie may not be for everyone, with 13 nominations, The Shape of Water is obviously doing something right.
There's one film that didn't make the list that should have been nominated. I, Tonya should have been nominated for Best Picture because it makes the audience sympathize with Tonya Harding. Nancy Kerrigan, everyone's favorite victim from the 1994 scandal,
can almost be forgotten, and instead Margot Robbie, the powerhouse lead and producer, gives the audience an emotional connection to Harding's relationships that are riddled with abuse, jealousy, and monetary struggles, while trying to make her mark in the elite skating world. Here Tanya is the actual victim of her circumstances and of others' selfish bad decision-making. Through all the drama, the film is still funny. I found myself laughing in the middle of an abuse scene when Tanya breaks the fourth wall with a snarky comment. Many lines come from the real-life people, and I love that we got to hear them say the iconic quotes at the very end. It reminds the audience that what happened here was real, no matter how ridiculous it sounds. Robbie, Allison Janney, and Tatiana Rigel have all been recognized with nominations, but I feel this film deserves more. I say Tanya was cheated out of the gold again.
Lady Bird is a loose autobiographical movie written and directed by Greta Gerwig. The movie is a coming-of-age comedy/drama about a girl's senior year in high school. Saoirse Ronan plays the lead, Lady Bird. The movie is set in 2002 Sacramento, California. Lady Bird hates Sacramento and deeply wants to go to school on the East Coast. The movie does a great job of showing the dysfunctional and complex relationship that a mother and daughter have. While Lady Bird is going through her own struggles, relationships, trying to do well in school, and keeping a part-time job, we see the mother struggle as well. The movie is written wonderfully, and Saoirse Ronan does an amazing job as Lady Bird. The audience is rooting for Lady Bird to go off on her own and be the person she wants to be. In the history of the Oscars, only one woman has won Best Director. I think it's time that Lady Bird wins and to shatter the glass ceiling that the Oscar has.
Call Me By Your Name is a beautiful film about love, curiosity, and life. Elio, played by the stunning Timothée Chalamet, is a 17-year-old boy who is learning who he is. Oliver, played by Armie Hammer, is a research assistant staying at the family's beautiful Italian home to study with his father. As the summer progresses, the two fall madly in love in this beautiful romance. Their love is timid at first, but soon blossoms into undeniable feelings. Following Elio and Oliver's journey through Italy gives one a deep yearning to grab a bike, ride through beautiful cobblestone streets, and fall in love all over again. This film should win Best Picture because it's everything one wants in an Oscar-nominated film. It's got love, curiosity, wonderment, and deep-seated beauty. It's not just another typical coming-of-age gay movie, but one that depicts a true emotional journey. It's sensual and seductive, leaving one's eyes glued to the screen and your heart breaking.
In the film The Post, the Washington Post is trying to catch up with the New York Times, who's just released secret Pentagon papers regarding the Vietnam War. With Meryl Streep as the leading actress, this is a good enough reason for The Post to win Best Picture. And even further than that, we're talking about she and Tom Hanks representing characters in a politically relevant film. The focus on freedom of the press is timely beyond belief, and not to mention the additional focus on women empowerment. When I saw the movie, there were moments when I was literally standing up screaming at something that Meryl Streep's character, Katharine Graham, had said. She's powerful and unapologetic, a woman who fully steps into her role, and that's so admirable to me. Katharine is the first female publisher of a major American newspaper, and she knows her worth. She's confident, collected, and decisive, and that in and of itself is notable enough to make this film a frontrunner for Best Picture.